Good afternoon, Elizabeth. We're just going to hold on a couple more minutes before we start, in case anyone else is jumping on, but welcome. If there's any audio issues, just shoot me a message in the chat. That way I can confirm that you can hear or can't hear me, so just let me know. All right, so we're just going to get started. My name is Sousa. I'm the fitness officer at King Campus. I know it probably says Colin March on your screen. This is just the account that we created for all our workshops. Elizabeth, I'm not sure if you've been following along each week, but this is our third week. Some of the information that I'm going to go over today was touched on the first couple of weeks. So just let me know if you've already been over some of that. Today we're going to be going over a one skillet, one pan meal. It's a breakfast meal actually, but you can eat it for dinner, for lunch. It really doesn't matter. I know for me, it's really convenient to cook something for breakfast once a week for dinner. So it's really a matter of what works for you. Just because it's traditionally a breakfast food doesn't mean you have to eat it for breakfast. Usually breakfast are something that you have to kind of complete pretty quick. So this one will take probably about half an hour if you are cooking it on your own. And there's some kind of tricks that you can do to speed up the process that I'll get into while we actually start cooking. But the main thing we want to go over is just kind of our three-step prep, how we make sure that we have a successful meal prep and that we cook our food as quickly as possible and as conveniently as possible. So our first step is to gather everything you need. There's nothing worse than starting a recipe and then having to pull things out of your fridge or pull things out of your drawers and search for things, especially if you already started cooking and you gotta wash your hands each time. So really take the time to gather all your equipment, everything that you're gonna need for your recipe, and think about every single thing you need, from knives to mixing bowls to pans, pretty much anything you're gonna need from start to finish, even to your storage stuff. So if you're cooking a big batch, make sure you have everything you need to store your food as well. Okay. And then same thing goes with the ingredients. You want to make sure you have every single ingredient. Again, nothing's worse than getting halfway through a recipe and then finding out that you don't maybe even have something in the house. Maybe you forgot to pick it up from the grocery store, but having to go back to the fridge or back to the pantry and pull it out and measure it. So make sure that you have everything out in front of you. That way you're getting through your recipe quick, but also you're not stalling and having to go wash your hands, pick something up, rewash your hands. So just have your ingredients and your tools. And then next is your workstation. So set up your workstation. It takes a lot of the stress out of meal prep if you set everything up conveniently. We always start with a cutting board. Make sure we have a technique where we put a paper towel down. You can use a tea towel too. Just make sure it's a little damp. You put it under your cutting board so it doesn't move around. It makes it a lot easier to cut. It's also a lot safer. And then just make sure all your tools that you're using are sharp. Okay, so if you're using a knife, you want to make sure it's sharp. A sharp knife is actually safer than a dull knife because it has less chance of slipping. So you want to make sure your knife is sharp. Okay, and then anything that you're handling is clean, because especially if you're storing food. You want to make sure there's no bacteria on anything that you're using. And you want to make sure that your sink is close by. So you should have your sink, your cutting board, all your tools, and then obviously your oven or your stovetop, all within kind of arm's distance. So you're not going back and forth. Okay. So we'll go into what we're going to need today. And if you're not following along with the recipe, that's totally fine too. You can kind of just sit back and watch. You don't have to. We kind of design these so that you can cook while we're going through everything, but no big deal if you're not ready yet. The equipment you're going to need is a measuring spoon, measuring cup. Those two things you don't necessarily need if you've been through a recipe before, if you know kind of how much of each thing you need and you know how spicy you like your food or how much salt you need. Sometimes you can get away with eyeballing stuff, but when it's your first couple of times around, you really want those two things, measuring spoon, measuring cup as well. A chef's knife, so you don't have to buy anything fancy. I just have a knife set that I got from Canadian Tire, and then a couple of knives that I got from Walmart. Like, you don't really need to buy crazy expensive knives. I don't have too many. Maybe have 3 different knives. You need a cutting board. That's something you do need. Again, you can get that from Walmart. Different size cutting boards is good too, because you don't necessarily need a huge one every time you cook. But it's also nice to have a big one so you can cut multiple things. Okay? When you're using a cutting board, you want to make sure that if you're cutting something like meat on it, that you have different cutting boards for meat and different cutting boards for veggies, just because you can cross-contaminate. For today, you're going to need a spatula or a skillet. A fry pan or a skillet, and I would suggest a no-stick fry pan. So there's a couple different brands you can get that use different non-stick surfaces. Again, Walmart, Canadian Tire, probably good spots to pick one up. Amazon as well. And you're gonna need a medium bowl, and obviously a stovetop or a countertop burner. So all those you definitely need. And you're going to make sure that, like I said, make sure everything's set up so that you can grab things when you need them, okay? The ingredients today, you're going to need 2 pieces of bacon. You can use vegan bacon. You can actually skip this step too. If you are skipping this step, though, you'll need a bit more oil to put in your pan. You're going to need an egg. Again, you can use a vegan egg. They sell them at the grocery store. You're going to need a potato, either a half to 1 potato, depends how much potato you like. A red pepper, which is optional. A yellow or white onion. Green onion, again, which is optional. You're going to need a half a cup of shredded cheese or vegan cheese. And then 4 tablespoons of either olive oil or avocado oil. Olive oil will do fine. Avocado oil is a bit healthier. It has a higher smoke point, which means you can heat it up a lot higher than olive oil, and it won't burn. But it is super expensive. It's almost 3 times the price of olive oil. So I use it sparingly for certain recipes. And then you're going to need salt and pepper to taste. And you can add hot sauce, anything you want to add on top of your skillet as well. Okay. So I won't go through the steps in detail because we're going to be actually going through it. But this one here is not for, the steps on here aren't for today's recipe. I will send you the steps. This one got mixed up with something else. So don't worry about that. I'm going to walk you through it as we go when we actually put the meal together. Okay. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to move my my computer over to my workstation, and we're going to get into the recipe. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to start. We're going to start with cutting our potatoes. So I'm going to do a demo of this. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here, and I think you should be able to see me. So I'm going to walk you over to my kitchen area. All right. I think you can see, should be able to see everything there. I'm going to set up my workstation. Obviously, before you start, you want to make sure that you wash your hands before you start, especially if you're feeding other people, right? You want to make sure that that you're washing your hands with soap and water. So I'm going to do that right now. And we're going to just prep our cutting board. So you can see I have my cutting board here. I'm going to dampen my paper towel. You can also use a dish towel. And what you do is you just put it on top of your counter, make sure it's damp, and then you put your cutting board on top of it, okay? So it doesn't slide as much. I'm just going to move it over so you can see better. Okay, so I have that laid out there. I have all my stuff here that I'm going to be prepping. I'm going to start with the potato, okay? So what you're going to do is grab a medium potato. You can slice off a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom so that you have two flat sides like that. Okay? And you're just going to get rid of any extras there. Obviously, you want to compost any vegetables that you're not using or any pieces that you cut off. Okay. So from there, I have a nice surface that I can start to slice from. And I'm going to start cutting down with my knife and slicing about 1 inch thick pieces. Okay. If you want to hold the knife the correct way, you can hold it like this. Actually, you just pinch your thumb and your index finger, and you want to leverage yourself over top of whatever you're cutting. Okay. So this is kind of the way they'll teach you in like culinary school. But honestly, any way you cut is fine as long as you're doing it safely. Okay. So I actually put my index finger on the top. For me, it gives me more leverage and more control over a knife. But pick whichever way you want. The key is to watch your fingers. Okay. So you're always going to cut away from wherever you're holding. I'm going to slice down, and I'm going to turn these into like little planks. You see little slices there. And I'm moving my fingers back as I go, okay, away from the blade. All right, so what you're going to do now is you're going to stack your potato slices. So you can see they're sliced like that. And the smaller you slice them, the crispier your potatoes will be, and the quicker they'll take to cook, okay? So I'm going to stack mine back up. I'm just going to move these out of the way for now. And I'm going to start cutting them into little planks, okay? I'm going to hold the potato on the side, just like that. Slice through, push down, slice through, push down, slice through. So I'm making little sticks now, okay, or little planks. From there, I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to start cutting them into cubes, okay? So I just flipped it around. Now I'm cutting it into cubes. So it makes it really easy. You can do all the cubes at once. You can see it's all cut up into little cubes, okay? If you don't like potato skins, you can definitely take those off. Just keep in mind there is added fiber in the skin, so it's a bit healthier to keep them on. But if you don't like the taste of them, by all means, you don't have to eat them. You can just quickly peel them with a vegetable peeler. What you're going to do now is get a bowl and put your potatoes in the bowl. And I'm going to put this at the side. And we're going to now turn on our pan so you can get your pan out, whatever you're cooking with. I'm just using a non-stick. I don't have a skillet, so I'm just using a non-stick pan. And I'm going to put my bacon in. Because this pan is a bit sticky, even though it's a non-stick, I'm going to add a little bit of oil, probably about a teaspoon. I'm going to heat my pan up to medium-high. Okay. And while I'm cooking my onions, that'll heat up so I can put my bacon in. So now I'm going to go to my onion. What you're going to do is cut this in half lengthwise from stem to top. So I'm going to slice it in half. And we're just going to be using half. If you like onion, then you can do a whole onion if you want. What you're going to do is go to the top and peel back the first couple layers where it's papery. You definitely don't want to bite into that. Okay. So I'm just going to peel that back. Maybe one more layer for me. Peel it back and it actually gives you a bit of a handle, so don't cut it off yet. It gives you a little bit of a handle there. You're going to cut the top off. You don't need that. And what you're going to start to do is cut across, okay, into thin strips. Again, slide your hand back every time you slice. You want to watch for your fingers. So you're just making little slices right across. Okay, and then when it gets to the very end, you can use the stem there to hold so you can get your finger out of the way. Okay, so you have slices there. Again, try to keep your cutting board free of anything that you don't need. So I'm just removing the skin and pieces I don't need, putting in the compost. From there, you're going to have all these thin slices, which is perfect. What you're going to do is now cut them crosswise. So I'm just going to take them like this. Again, stack them and start to cut them. So I'm going to leave all these ones on this side and start moving the cut pieces to one side of my cutting board. So I can keep track of them all. Just slice down. Again, if you leverage yourself over top of your onion, it'll be easier to cut. So you can either slice through or use the back of your knife to chop. Really a matter of preference. You will find that after your first couple of slices, your eyes will start to water. That's totally normal. If you just keep blinking, it'll clear out the onion. So I'm just slicing really small. I'm using a chop technique, the back of my knife, and keeping cautious about where your fingers are, okay? So now that I'm done cutting, my pan's going to be probably pretty hot enough for me to put my bacon in. So what I'm going to do is leave this here all cut up. Just push the pieces off your knife. What I'm going to do is put my bacon in my pan because it's nice and hot. I'm just going to use a pair of tongs. You can use whatever you'd like. I don't want to get my fingers dirty and rewash them, so I'm just going to use a pair of tongs here. Put it in my pan. Should make a sizzling noise if it's hot enough. So if you're using pre-cooked bacon, you can definitely do that. You would just add the bacon at the end, okay? So we just cook the bacon and we take it out of the pan. So you can definitely, if you have pre-cooked bacon, you can add it at the end for sure. But the reason we use the bacon is also because we want to use the fat to cook the potato and the onion in, okay? So you put your bacon in, come back to your cutting board. What you're going to do is mix your onion with your potato. Now is a good time if you notice that maybe there's too much onion and your onion and potato ratio is a bit off. You can always put in less onion. But I'm going to put my onion in, put it in the same bowl as my potato. I'm just going to get rid of anything that's left over. And then from there, we're going to start cutting our pepper, okay? Sorry about that. So peppers are a bit trickier to cut than the potatoes and the onions because they have stems and seeds. What you want to do is cut the bottom of your pepper, flip it over, and then cut the top of the stems, okay? So you're left with these two guys. I would save them and you can cut them as well. I'm just going to put them aside for now so I have more space on my cutting board. From there, I'm going to make a slice into my pepper, okay? And I'm going to tilt it so it's laying flat on my cutting board. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, can see there's these membranes here. I'm going to cut in, these are called the ribs. I'm going to cut into them and it's going to release the pepper. Super easy. And it's going to lay flat. Okay, so I cut the stem off and that's going to help you get rid of the seeds as well. So that's going to come off pretty easy. From there, you're going to actually want to slice a bit further into the pepper. Okay, so you can see here I'm just slicing a little bit more. So it's laying flat. I'm going to start on one end, work my way through, get all the white pieces out because they have no real taste to them. So there's the amount I got there. I'm going to get rid of that. So you're left with this here. What we're going to do is only use half of it. You can use the whole thing if you want, but I'm just going to use half. So you have your piece here. You're going to make sure there's no stickers, okay? If there's stickers on it and you forget to take it off, it's going to be in your food. So make sure you take the stickers off. Now I'm going to take this piece, put it lengthwise on my cutting board. I'm going to bring this over here so you can see it better. I'm going to make long strips, almost like we did with the potatoes, to cube it. Okay, and this makes it really easy to cut into cubes. So I turned it, and now I'm going to slice it this way. Slice or chop, it's up to you. Just watch your fingers. Okay, so there's all my peppers, super quick. They're all cubed now. I'm going to go back and check on my bacon. Probably about time to flip it. All right, the bacon's cooking away. I have everything chopped. I'm gonna put my pepper in my bowl as well. So I have my pepper, my onion and potato. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. Mix those up. So it's just consistently all spread out throughout your bowl. Put that to the side. So my bacon's done now. The bacon only takes about 5 minutes to cook. What you're going to do is use a piece of paper towel and a plate, and you're going to leave the bacon grease in the pan. But you're going to take the bacon out and let it cool because we're going to chop this later, okay? So I'm just going to get my tongs. I'm going to take my bacon out because it's crispy enough. Again, you're just going to put this to the side, make sure it's out of the way. So take a look at your pan. If you're using pre-cooked bacon, I'm going to bring this closer. All right, if you're using pre-cooked bacon, you're going to want to add oil to the pan, okay? Because there probably won't be as much oil coming out of your pre-cooked bacon. So add about a tablespoon of oil, enough to coat all your vegetables. This is hot enough now, so I'm going to put my veggies in. Okay. And what you're going to need is a plastic or wooden spoon to mix this around. Because it's a non-stick, you don't want to use something metal because it'll take the surface off. So I have a plastic spatula. I'm going to move it around. You're going to turn it down lower than what it was cooking at with the bacon. So about medium. And you really want to mix it around just for the first couple of minutes. Because what you want is, you want the potatoes to crisp up, okay? So if you mix it too much, the potatoes won't crisp up. So for the first minute, mix it around and then let everything crisp up, and you're just gonna stir it maybe once during the cooking time. So I'm gonna leave this here. If you want to speed up the process, what you can do is put a lid on the frying pan. If you have a tight fitting lid, you can put that on the frying pan. and it'll cook the potato quicker because it will take probably about 20 minutes for the potato to get soft and cook up. Okay, so you really do want to put a lid on it if you have it. If you don't have it and you have the time, by all means, you can cook it without the lid. It'll actually make sure that the potatoes come up crispier. But like I said, if you have a lid, throw it on and it just cooks faster. Okay. I'm gonna leave this here, and then I'm gonna show you what it kind of looks like after after the potatoes cook, and I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do with your egg and your bacon. Okay. So I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna turn this up. So once you have cooked your bacon, or once your potatoes are done and you're ready to add your pre-cooked bacon, you're going to cut it up. So just get a clean cutting board. You're going to cut your bacon up. It's really a matter of preference. You can go small pieces, medium pieces, it's really up to you. Obviously, the smaller the pieces, the crispier they're going to be. Okay. So if my potatoes are cooked, what I'm going to do is add a little bit of oil to my pan. And I'm going to need a kind of a close-up here. So I'm going to bring this over, and you'll see the potatoes here are nice and brown. They're cooked up. What you're going to do is add your bacon to the potatoes. So you're just going to go around, put the bacon in. Okay. And then you're going to make a little hole. You can see I already did that. You're going to make a little hole for your egg. So you're going to push the potato and the bacon around. So you make a hole in the center of your frying pan. So it'll look something like that. Okay, so you make that little hole there. You might need to add a little bit of oil to the center just to make sure the egg doesn't stick. But what you're going to do now is get your egg. And you're going to crack your egg and put it in the middle of your skillet here, okay? So I'm going to turn this down. So I got my egg. You can crack the egg up the side there, or you can use a bowl. So you want to lay it in the middle of your skillet. And you'll see you can let the egg white kind of get in between all the potato and bacon mixture. And from there, you're going to add your cheese. So about half a cup of cheese. You can put it wherever you want. I'm going to put it around my egg on top of the potato. I'm using vegan cheese. It's made of soy, but feel free to use whatever cheese you like. And then what you're going to need now for sure is your lid, okay? So I'm just going to get this out of the way. You're going to want to add your lid so that your egg can cook at the top. So if you don't add the lid, the egg might just cook at the bottom and get burnt. So what you want to do is add the lid so the egg can kind of steam. And it cooks both top and bottom, okay? So while that's happening, while the top of the egg is cooking through, you can start cutting your green onion or any herbs that you like. So I'm just gonna cut up some onion here. I'm gonna move the bacon off. The bacon's cooked, so I can just slide it off and start to use my onion. You can use fresh onion. I'm just using green onion here. You start at the top, work your way down, and you just slice it. Same technique. If you want to make it a little fancy, what you can do is cut it on an angle. You do this. So sometimes you go to like a Thai restaurant and they'll cut their onion on like a slight angle. So they're just doing this here. So you can see it cuts it a bit nicer. You just slice it on an angle. That's all it does there. Depending how much you like, you don't have to cut the whole thing. Some people don't like too much onion. Just keep in mind we're using about half a potato and 1 egg. So it's really a matter of preference. I'm just going to check my egg, put the lid back on. Turn that off. Cilantro is also a really good herb to use. Chives, whatever you like. It's really a matter of preference. When you're topping your egg, salt and pepper are really good. I like to use toasted sesame seeds. You can just get these at any grocery store, really. They're just toasted sesame seeds. I like to put those on top. And I'm a big fan of hot sauce, so put some Tabasco on there. I'll be back in 1 second. I'm gonna plug in my laptop. We only have about 5 minutes left, anyways. So my egg's almost done. Just keep an eye on it. Depends on how you like it. I like mine so the yolk comes out. So really, it's a matter of preference. Just keep an eye on it. If you like it when the yolk comes out, it probably will only take about 3 minutes. So I'm gonna actually take the lid off and put it to the side so it stops cooking. You got your herbs ready, your toppings, whether that's a hot sauce, like I was talking about, hot sauce, something like ketchup. But you wanna put that on at the end so that the sauce doesn't burn in your pan. Okay. So what you're gonna do now is get a plate. You can see everything's. I'm getting used to the angles of everything on my computer. So you can see everything's all in one pan there. It's gonna be really easy to come out. I'm gonna grab my plate. So you're gonna need your spatula again. And you're just gonna slide it onto your plate, okay? So it should all come out as one piece. Hopefully you can, I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can see. It should come all at once onto your plate, just like that. Okay. Yeah, if you're serving this for somebody else and want to make it look a bit fancier, you can throw on your herbs, your fresh herbs, and whatever toppings you like. If you like your eggs cooked longer, you would just leave it on longer so it's more of a fried egg. Or what you can also do is actually scramble the egg and then drop it in to cook the same way. But you can see the cheese kind of keeps everything together. You don't have to add the cheese. The egg actually will keep everything together as well. So if you're looking for like a low calorie option, you can use turkey bacon instead of pork bacon. You can exclude the bacon if you want to. And then you could just switch the cheese out for a lower fat cheese or no cheese at all. But I would suggest probably using maybe 2 eggs just to keep everything together. Okay. So now you would top it with salt and pepper and whatever other spices and sauces you like. But this is kind of the end result. It looks pretty fancy for something that's done pretty quick with a stove with kind of one pan and within half an hour. And like I said, if you use a lid for your potatoes to cook, yeah, it's actually a lot quicker. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe. The recipe will be has been mailed out. I'm going to check to make sure that the right instructions were attached with the right recipe. I did notice that the JPEG and the slideshow was from last week. So thank you for coming by and taking part in our cooking class, and Next week will be, I think, our final week. Brand new recipe. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, good luck with making your own, and I hope you enjoy it. Take care.